So, hello everyone. Good morning. 안녕하세요. John Achimeo. And welcome to our webinar titled Ba Mogoro Gaja. Tara, kain tayo, a Korean and Filipino fusion cuisine demonstration. So this activity is part of the Asian Center's 65th anniversary celebration with the theme Asian Center at 65, zealously cultivating ideas, ceaselessly inspiring minds across Asia. So for the past weeks, we had a series of activities to celebrate our anniversary. So we had webinars on Southeast Asian reproduction of colonial stereotypes and images with Prof. Noor. We had masculinity and religiosity of Filipino men with Prof. Fast. The launch of the Peter Boomgaard Southeast Asia collection and the lecture on intimacy and sex in Asian history with Dr. Raquel Reyes. And today we have two webinars on Korean politics and culture. So we hope you continue to participate and learn with us with the help of various experts and professionals. And we aim to make this webinar series a platform for knowledge exchange among students, faculty, researchers, and other professionals despite the ongoing public health crisis. Okay, so we would like to acknowledge the help and assistance of our colleagues from the UP Computer Center who have been supporting our events and webinars ever since this pandemic. So for this morning, we shall learn about Korean food, most especially two of the famous and most common Korean food, Bulgogi and Kimchi-jjigae. A break from the usual politics. I know that many of you, if not all of you, have watched this on Korean shows, Korean drama. And if not, you have seen this on the menu when you go to samgyeopsal places. Here in the Philippines, we have so many samgyeopsal places, Korean restaurants. So instead of simply just watching and ordering food, now you'll get to learn how to make your own Korean food in your own home. So just a reminder, samgyeopsal is not the only Korean food. We have bulgogi and kimchi. Okay, so to formally start our webinar, so for the opening remarks, may I please welcome the Dean of the Asian Center, Dr. Jofe B. Santarita.
Thank you, Danae. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Dr. Jong Ho Cha, Professor Amatorio, Ms. Villarreal, Professor Torres, Chef Bogong, Dr. Palumbarit, and distinguished participants, colleagues, and friends, anyong hasio. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Welcome to the Asian Center. 3 days ago, the Asian Center has officially turned 65. In the human's timeline, this is the period of retirement. However, for the Asian Center, it is the time for retire, meaning to say that we're putting again the tire for another purpose. This means that the Asian Center will open another chapter in its development as a postgraduate degree-granting unit that focuses on Asia as it progresses towards its centenary in 2055, and with intense plan of performing our mandate to bring the reality of Asia to the Philippines and the Philippines to Asia. As part of our activities to celebrate another milestone of the center, we are devoting this day to perform again our mandate by bringing Korea to the Philippines. This morning's activity goes beyond from the gastronomic discussion and beyond from the tension lately between Korea's kimchi and China's pao chai. In fact, we will learn from our resource speakers the importance of food intimacy and diplomacy beyond food transfers. We will not only see the cooking demonstration, but engage with the chef and food experts, as well as the fusion of the Filipino and Korean cuisines. Food preparation is not only a showcase of food resources, skills of preparation, but also the syncretic or maybe amalgamation of cultures, especially from Filipina working in Korea. So I would like to thank Dr. Michelle Palumbarit, our only resident expert on Korea, and the Asian Center's team, Danae, Janus, and Jane, for facilitating this activity and of course this afternoon's program. So similarly, I would like to welcome and express my appreciation to Dr. Cha of Daegu University, Chef Bugong, Prof. Cynthia Amatorio, Prof. Arnilin Torres, and Ms. Jennifer Villarreal, the President of Tamunha Center, for accepting our invitation. Kaya ano pa ang inihintay natin? So BAP Meogeureo Gaja. This is an invitation to consume the knowledge and taste the flavor of Korea, at least virtually. So sa muli, maayong aga at mabuhay tayong lahat, and welcome to the Asian Center.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santa Rita. Okay, so before we begin, just a few house rules. Questions should be posted on the Q&A panel just below your video screen there, below your screen. So messages sent to the chat box located on the right part of the screen are for presenters and attendees. So the host reserves the right to remove in-webinar participants who send rude and inappropriate questions or messages. So we understand that we may have differing opinions on the topic. However, we would like to remind everyone that this is an educational discussion and everyone is expected to express their thoughts in a professional manner. Okay, so let's start. So to give us the background on Korean food and culture and to introduce our speakers for this morning, let me introduce the Assistant Professor at the Department of Liberal Studies in Daegu University in South Korea. Please welcome Professor Cynthia Pantinople Amatoria.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I firmly believe that the best avenue to experience and understand other culture is through the local food. So today, let us navigate the Korean culture through their way of cooking and their food, such as bulgogi and kimchi-jjigae. Bulgogi comes from the words bul, which means fire, and gogi, which means meat. Known as grilled meat, it is a popular hanshik or Korean food among foreigners. Based on its word origin, it conveys its meaning as a method of cooking, grilling meat over fire. It's a staple of Korean households, which is deeply ingrained in the Korean culture. Its popularity resulted in the emergence of bulgogi hamburgers as well as bulgogi pizzas. Whereas the inventions of kimchi-jjigae emerged from the idea of using old kimchi because kimchi becomes too sour or salty when it gets old. Likewise, using more fermented kimchi gives more pronounced flavor to the dish, which is usually best served in a stone pot. You will come across kimchi-jjigae whenever you are in a restaurant or visit Korean homes. Kimchi-jjigae is only a late 20th century invention. Our three speakers will showcase their talent in cooking bulgogi, but our third speaker will also demonstrate the very first Korean food she learned how to cook, which was taught by her husband, kimchi-jjigae. So before we proceed with the cooking show, may I introduce to you the first speaker. I am very proud to present to you our first speaker, my former professor and now a colleague, Dr. Jongho or Daniel Cha, together with his friend, Chef Bogum, an owner of a local food market in Daegu, South Korea. Chef Bogum plays an important role as her job is to provide local consumers with healthy and delicious food, especially for those Koreans who have no time to cook their own food due to tight schedule and busy life. Her store helps Koreans to maintain their well-being through the food she serves. Going back to Dr. Cha, he serves not only as a professor to his students, but also as a generous, reliable, and trustworthy friend, and a family to all, especially to us foreigners. His presence in our lives made us feel like we are not living in a foreign land. Indeed, his personality alone mirrors the rich culture of what Korea is and who Koreans are. This is manifested in the kind of food he introduces to us every time we have our dinner or lunch together, or in special occasions like Chuseok or Solal. It is because we felt the family atmosphere through the Koreans' communal way of eating, and likewise through the table where we were able to share our ideas and happy and sad stories that help us deepen our bond like a family. Dr. Cha is a professor of chemistry education at Daegu University, South Korea. With 2 decades of professional experience in research and education, he has also been a visiting professor in Canada and South Africa. His research interests include pre-service science teacher education with ICT and Web 2 technology, science education for the disabled, informal science education, and science teaching methods, and many of his research studies have been published in distinguished journals. Aside from receiving awards such as Award for Advancement of Chemistry Education, he is a recipient of various research grants from the Korea Foundation for the Advancement of Science and Creativity. So let us welcome Professor Daniel Jonghu Cha.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this meaningful milestone event. And firstly, I give congratulations to the Asian Center UP, and it is for me. It is so honorable event for me because I'm a science educator, just an educator, but it's a new challenge for me to talk about food. Anyway, I will share my screen with you and share about Korean food. Firstly, this is me. I am a science educator, not a food expert. So, yeah. So I've been to Philippines maybe 2 or 3 times for the volunteer teaching with my university student. This is first visit to the Bacolod city. It's Baha'i Pagas Youth Center. I had a really good time with the boys there. And second visit was in 2018, and also we visited many elementary schools and enjoyed learn and play with the boys and girls. And so I'm not a food expert, so I invited the chef Bulgogi. She is the owner of the local food market, so-called 달콤한 밥상, which means sweet table. So I bought many food and dishes from her, and I asked her to help me to demonstrate Korean food. So she is there. She has helped me a lot.
안녕하세요. Hello everyone. Welcome to Korean food demonstration. I am Dr. Cha. I am not a doctor for cooking, but for education. Oh, don't worry. I invited a professional chef. Chef Bokung.
Hi.
This is Chef Bokung, and he is my neighbor and the owner of the local food market. She is helping me today.
Okay, I met her last Wednesday and we videotaped it, and yeah, so I will show like this clip by clip. And so let me introduce today's cuisine, bulgogi.
Today we're gonna cook bulgogi, Korean BBQ, which is one of my favorite foods. I heard that you are celebrating 65th anniversary of the UP Asian Center. Congratulations! I think bulgogi is the best cuisine for today because Koreans enjoy bulgogi when we have something to celebrate.
Okay, and that's why I choose bulgogi. And now I'm talking about the ingredient of bulgogi. I made it for bulgogi for one family with 3 to 4 persons with a sliced beef 400 grams and vegetables and some seasoning. Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's see the ingredient for bulgogi. 짜잔! Main ingredient is the beef. 소고기. 소고기. We need 400 gram today. And let's see the vegetables. This is 양파, onion. 양파, half 양파, and mashed onion. And this is 당근, carrot. And we add some paprika. And this is 버섯, mushroom, 버섯. And this is pa, spring onion, pa. And we need sesame oil. Smell. If you can get sesame oil, then don't forget it. And this is soy sauce. You may get this from Chinese store. And the garlic, mashed garlic, and black pepper. Oh, and sugar. We need some sugar. Okay.
Okay, after after prepare some ingredient, and then we're gonna do first marinating meat or beef.
Okay, we will marinate first. We will add soy sauce and mashed garlic and mashed onion and sugar. Okay, sugar, please. 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoon of sugar, two and a half teaspoon, and 1 spoon, 2 spoon, 3 spoon, 4 spoon of soy sauce, 간장, and mashed garlic 1 teaspoon, half spoon of garlic, and 1 spoon of mashed onion, and add some black pepper. Okay. And now we'll mix up. This is for marinating. So we will just let it as it is during prepare other process.
냉장고 더우니까 그 나라는.
Maybe it is good for in the refrigerator.
Okay, after marinating, we will prepare vegetables and slice and slice and slice.
Now we will slice vegetables. First, 양파, onion, 양파. 그다음에 당근, 캐럿, 슬라이스, Then we will put some paprika for coloring. It is for coloring. Now spring onion, half. Then mushroom, 버섯. 이게 무슨 버섯이죠?
마타리 버섯, 애기 버섯, 애기 마타, 애기 버섯, 애기 느타리, 어린 느타리.
통역 못해.
You can skip this. Okay, now all the vegetables are ready.
냉장고에 있던 걸 가지고 와서 야채를 다 버무리는 거야.
Now we're gonna put them all together to the marinated beef. Onions and carrot and paprika and spring onion, mushroom, and then sesame oil. You can skip this.
Sesame oil is for odor. It
And
smells good.
mix up.
됐어.
It is done. Now it is ready for cook.
Okay, now all the preparation is ready, and now we will do stir frying. In Korea, bulgogi can be cooked by many ways, including the fire grilling. But in this case, we will do the stir frying.
Now we're gonna cook the bulgogi.
이게 뭐야? 말고 그다음에 오일.
And add some oil.
잠시만 저기 마이크.
Now fan is heat ready. Now add mix beef and vegetables and stir fry. When the red part is not thin, then it is okay. It is done.
그리고 좀 카라멜 라이징 좋아하고 달까 끓는 사람은 달 색깔에 카라멜 색깔을 뜰 때까지 볶아주는 거야.
It depends on the taste. If you like well done, then cook enough. And if you like medium, then cook just half.
우리 지금 미금 상태. 미금.
Yeah, when the red is not thin, then it is medium stage.
지금도 다 익었어요. 육수는 다 익었어요.
It is now done, but if you like the well done meat, then you may cook more. 자, 소리 좋네요.
거의 다 됐어요. 숟가락 더 있을까요?
이 정도에서 해.
이럴까?
It's a colorful with vegetable and it. You may add more vegetables for coloring. Okay, it is done. Yeah, it took 30 to 40 minutes from the slicing, from the marinating and cooking. Now it is time to taste. Ladies and gentlemen, this is bulgogi. Yay! The smell. Even I can smell, even wearing mask. Now I will taste a bit. Delicious. Nam. 맛있다. Today we cooked a Korean BBQ bulgogi. Hope you enjoy my favorite cuisine. And happy anniversary to the Asian Center. And hope you stay well even in the pandemic. And hope to see you in someday. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give thanks to Chef Bogung. Thank you for this wonderful food. Thank you for listening. Bye. Okay, thank you for your attention. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so the second speaker is a former teacher in Thailand who fell in love with her husband at first sight. They met in the hotel in Manila while having breakfast in 2007. She was with her family on vacation while her husband attended a seminar in the Philippines and since then became inseparable. Jennifer had no idea that she will fall in love with cooking until she became a wife to a Korean husband. Thus, discovered her new passion, which is cooking. She grew up with no interest in cooking and hate it the most, but now finds cooking as the core of her life to maintain the health and welfare of her family, since her husband emphasized the value of food preparation and the method of cooking in Korean life. In line with the saying that food is the best medicine, Koreans believe that food and medicine function in the same way and that both health and illness results from the food we eat, thus giving importance to healthy food and cooking. Now, Jennifer's life revolves around how she can make her husband and son happy through the food she cooks and continuously discovers how to suit her cooking to Filipino and Korean taste. She is currently the president of the Filipino community in Kimchon under the Tamuna Center and does a part-time job as a teacher. She is active in sharing her talent, such as joining a dance troupe to promote both Korean and Philippine culture. So let us welcome Miss Jennifer Oliveros Villarreal.
sa inyong lahat. Samahan niyo po ako sa pagluluto ng bulgogi. Narito po ang mga ingredients natin. Ito po yung yampa. Ganito lang po yung paghihiwa natin sa sibuyas. Ito lang po. Ibahin po natin siya ng pahaba. Ganito. Maliliit lang po. Practice lang po siya. Ito po yung manot. Hiwain lang po natin yung bawang ng maliit. Katulad po ng ganito. At ito naman po yung pa. Ito po, isunod po natin yan sa hiwain natin na itong pa. Ganito lamang po ito natin ng maliliit din. Ganito. Ito naman po yung dahon niya. Alin lang po natin yung dulo. Ganun din po yung gawin natin. Hiwain lang din po natin siya ng maliliit. At ito po yung be. Tinatawag nating be. Ito po, optional po to. Pwede po natin gamitin, pwede din hindi. Pero, isinasama ko po to kasi mas nakakadagdag po siya sa panlasa natin. Mas nagugustuhan po ng mga bata kasi yung tamis po niya at yung lasa ng eto pong sauce, mas nagmi-mix po siya ng mas masarap sa panlasa. Ito po yung kalbi yum natin. Balatan lang po natin. Pagkatapos po natin balatan tong be, ang gagawin po natin dito ay hiwain po natin yung ganito. Konti lang po nito, hindi naman na po natin kailangan pang ilan. Tanggalin lang po natin yung matigas na parte. Tapos, hiwain lang po natin at ilagay po natin dito sa blender. Ayan. Hiwain lang po uli natin ng maliliit. Pagkatapos po natin ilagay dito yung be, ang isusunod po natin ay itong yum. Kalbi yum. Pagsamahin po natin dito, tapos saka po natin i-blend. Ganyan lang po. Yan. Tapos, ito naman po yung panghuli nating ingredient, syempre. Ito po yung gogi natin. Ito po ay maliliit lang yung pagkakahiwa niya. Ganito lang po siya, manipis. Para pag niluto po siya, kasi no need na po siyang lagyan ng tubig, madali po siyang maluto. Ayan po. Pag samasamahin na po natin ito, kuha po tayo ng isang malaking lalagyan katulad po nito. Itong lalagyan na to. Kasi madami po yung ingredients natin. So kailangan po ng malaking lalagyan. Ilagay lang po natin itong unahin po natin itong karne. Lagay natin dito sa bowl natin. Ayan po. Ngayon po, pagka nailagay na po natin ito, isa-isahin po natin ilagay yung mga ingredients para po i-marinate po muna natin. Ito, unahin po natin yung gumamit po tayo ng changgap. Pero usually, pagka mga Korean po, gusto nila kamay lang, mas malasa daw po yun eh. Gamit po tayo ng changgap. Ito po, unahin po natin itong manol. Ayan po. Halo lang po natin ito. Dito. Tapos isunod po natin itong ito pong sibuyas. Yampa. Ito po. Ayan. Sama-samahin lang po natin silang lahat. Tapos, ang kasunod na po ay itong pa. Ayan. Ayan. Pagkatapos po natin ilagay lahat ng mga sibuyas, bawang, isunod po natin itong yum. Ito pong ginawa natin kanina. Ayan po. Ihalo lang po natin ito ng ganito. Ayan. Saili natin. Lahat ng Pagkatapos po, ihalo lang po natin ito ng ganito. Mix natin mabuti yung mga ingredients para magsama-sama siya. At mas yung lasa niya ay kumapit yung sa karne at sa ingredients. Ayan lang po. Ganyan lang po siya. Pagkatapos po nito, hayaan nyo lang po siya ng samshipbon or 30 minutes na ganito bago po natin to iluto. Pero mas malasa po siya kung halimbawa pong mag-overnight siya. Ilagay natin siya sa ref, ganon, overnight, bago natin siya lutuin. Pero kung wala naman po talagang time, okay na po yung 30 minutes na imamarinate siya dito. Ngayon po, nababad na po natin ito, na-marinate na po natin ito ng 30 minutes or samshipbon. Ngayon naman po ay ipapakita ko po sa inyo kung paano po natin ito lulutuin, itong bulgogi. Ito lang po to. Painitan po natin tong kawali. Painitin lamang po natin. Pagkatapos po, pag mainit na po siya, lagyan lang po natin siya ng mantika. Or oil, cooking oil. Medyo damihan po natin siya. Yung tama lang po pala. Pagkatapos po, hintayin lang natin uling uminit yung mantika, yung oil. Ayan po siya. Kasunod po natin kung ay ilalagay na po natin to. Tapos halo-haluin lang po natin siya hanggang sa maluto. Mainit na po itong cooking oil natin. Ilagay na po natin to. Ito na po yung bulgogi. Ito na po to. Lagay na natin to dito. Igigisa lang po natin siya. Ayan. Ayan po. Ngayon po, kung sakali man kung ayaw niyo siyang lutuin lahat dahil madami, pwede niyo po itong ilagay sa ilagay sa ref. Kung kailan niyo po siya gustong lutuin ulit, okay lang po yan. Hindi naman po siya masisira sa loob ng refrigerator. Haluin lang po natin ito hanggang sa maluto. Kailangan po, lagi po natin siyang hahaluin para hindi po siya dumikit dun sa kawali. Ayan po. Ganyan lang po siya kadali. Mas patagal pa po yung pagmamarin. Basta yung cooking oil lang po yung kailangan yung ilagay dito. Tapos hayaan nyo lang po siya hanggang sa eto maging ganito na po siya. Parang nag-oil na po siya. Malapit na po yung maluto. Ganun lang po siya kasimple. Okay. Ngayon naman po, magluluto naman po tayo ng kimchi-jjigae. Ito po yung kauna-unahang handshake o Korean food na natutunan ko dito pagdating ko dito sa Korea. Ito po yung nagustuhan po to ng asawa at anak ko. Ang una po dito ay ito pong syempre ito pong kimchi. Itong kimchi po na to is mas masarap po yung mas matagal na. Actually po, pag gumawa po kami ng kimchi, pang matagalan. Dahil 4 seasons po dito sa Korea, so may buwan po talaga na naggagawa kami ng kimchi. So pang matagalan na po. At pinakamasarap pong gawin na kimchi-jjigae ay yung matagal na, yung ilang buwan na. Mas malasa po siya. Ang kasunod po ay ito pong karne ito. Tapos, ang mga kailangan po natin ay ito pong manol, sibuyas, yampa, or ito pong ito po panghuli na to, kutsu, at saka ito pong posot. Ngayon po, kasama din po itong tofu. Yun lamang po yung mga kailangan nating ingredients para sa kimchi-jjigae. Ngayon naman po, ipapakita ko po sa inyo kung paano po lutuin yung kimchi-jjigae. Unahin po natin yung, maglagay po tayo ng tubig. Pagkatapos po, huwag lang po natin ito, sabitin po. Ayan po. Isunod po natin itong itong karne. Lagay po natin ito dito. Ayan po. Makikita nyo naman po dito. Ayan, ganyan lang po siya kadami, yung tubig nito. Pakuluan lang po natin to. Takpan po natin. Ayan. Hintayin lang po natin tong kumulo. Ngayon po, kumukulo na po yung ating pinapakulo ang karne. Tanggalin lang po natin to. Tapos po, ang susunod na po natin ay itong sibuyas. Ayan. Ihalo lang po natin to dito. Ayan po. Tapos, isunod po natin tong tong bawang. Ayan. Tapos, hintayin lang po uli natin kumulo siya. Bago po natin isama pa yung mga iba pang ingredients. Ayan po. Takpan po natin uli siya at hintayin kumulo ulit. O, ngayon po, kumukulo na po ito ulit. Ayan. Lagay lang po natin ito dito. Ang isunod na po natin ilalagay ay ito pong kimchi. Ayan po. Lagyan po natin ng konting sabaw. Ito, sauce niya. Sauce po ito ng kimchi. Isama po natin to para mas malasa siya. Hindi na po natin kailangan lagyan ng asin, mga ganon. Kasi yung pong lasa nitong kimchi, ito na rin po yung panlasa natin dito sa buong kabuuan nito. Dito sa niluluto natin. Ayan po. Kaya kailangan nating lagyan ng konting sauce ng kimchi para malasa po siya. Hintayin lang po uli natin tong kumulo. Pagkatapos po, saka natin ilalagay pa yung mga natitira pang ingredients. Ayan po, kumukulo na po ngayon to. Ayan. Ang kasunod natin pong ilalagay ito pong kutsu. Ayan. Ganyan lang po siya. Hindi na po natin siya kailangan panghatiin kasi kung sakali pong sobrang anghang nung kasi medyo maanghang na din po yung yung kimchi. Tapos iba-iba po kasi dito May maanghang po siya na ito po. May maanghang po siyang kutsu at merong hindi. So pagka natsyempohan niyo po ay yung sobrang anghang, baka hindi niyo na po makain. Kaya ang ginagawa ko po, hindi ko na po siya hinihiwa pa sa gitna. Pampalasa lang naman po siya Ayan. Tapos ang isunod na po natin, habang kumukulo siya ng ganyan, na ito pong tofu. Ayan po, ilagay lang po natin to ng ganito. Nahiwa-hiwa na po natin to ng maliliit na, parang cube lang po siya na maliliit. Hiwain nyo lang po siya ng paganyan. Ayan. Tapos, ayan lang po. Kahit hindi nyo na po siya haluin pa ilalim, okay na po yan. Ganyan lang po siya, sa ibabaw lang po siya. Pakuluan lang po natin to Ganyan lang po. Tapos ang kasunod na po nito, takpan po uli natin ng mga ilang minuto pa. Ayan po, makita nyo naman po, diba, luto na po yung kimchi natin. So ang isusunod na po natin ay ito na po yung panglas. Saglit na saglit lang po to. Ayan po, lagay lang po natin itong posok dito. Sa ibabaw lang po siya. Sa ibabaw. Ayan po. Hayaan lang po natin siyang kumulo pa. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, si Jennifer Villarreal. At ito naman po yung aking anak. Ayan po. Ito din po yung finished product ko.
Okay, I think si Professor Torres na.
Okay, so our third speaker is a blessing to anyone she meets because of the unconditional love, compassion, and wisdom she willingly shares with different kinds of people. These qualities are reflected on the kind of food she cooks and serves on the table. She cooks with passion, not just to make her food delicious, but prepares it with dignity and quality, because she firmly believes that it is through the food she cooks that she can make people happy. Her strong desire to make others happy inspired her to develop recipes that suit the taste and need of her loved ones. as well as other people. That is why she continuously discovers how to cook and prepare Korean food that suit the taste of everyone. Besides cooking, she volunteers in her church and community, and her home is open to those in need. A graduate of Bachelor in Hotel and Restaurant Management and Master in Resource Management from the University of Santo Tomas, and a Doctor of Communication from the University of the Philippines Open University. She is a culinarian by passion and an educator by profession. Let us welcome Dr. Arnelin Torres, a chef and a professor with a Golden Heart.
안녕하십니까? 제르몬 아르닐린 토레스입니다. 김용대학교의 관광학과 교수입니다. 시작합시다! Hello! Today we're going to cook bulgogi. What is bulgogi? Bulgogi is a Korean dish that is fire grilled. It can also be done on top of the grill, or you can pan fry the bulgogi. There are different kinds of meat that we can use for bulgogi. First, you can make use of beef. The parts of the beef that is good for bulgogi is either a ribeye, sirloin, or you can also use brisket. Other people would usually use chicken. For others, they prefer to use pork meat. For vegetarians, bulgogi can also be made by substituting meat with vegetables, especially mushroom. I chose beef, which is a sirloin part, which I already sliced a while ago. This is now waiting for the marinade. Now, for the marinade, we need the following. First, we need kanjang or soy sauce. And also, we need a little something to sweeten, and I'm using sultang. Then, we also have a third ingredient that Koreans love to use in their cooking. This is pa, or chives or onion leeks. And also, one thing that strengthens the flavor of bulgogi is manol or garlic. I already minced the garlic. So here again, we have kanjang, sultang, pa, and manol. We will also use chong kiram, which is known also as sesame oil, to add flavor to the meat. Some people would add fruits to make the meat tender. So any fruit will do, but Koreans love to use pear. I don't have pear right now, so I'm using apple. I'm going to grate this apple to get the enzymes to tenderize the meat and at the same time to give an extra flavor. So now let's start paring the apple. You don't need a big one. You just need to get a fresh apple because it's the enzymes of the apple that will add flavor and that will tenderize the meat. So it's important that you do it first. You peel it off before you use it because it will turn brown. So I'm going to grate. Some people, if they don't want to grate it, would usually use a blender or a food processor because it will be easier. You don't need much because our meat is only good for 2, 3, or 4 people. Okay, I think that's enough. Then we're going to add our kanjang, around 2 tablespoons of kanjang, 2 tablespoons of sotang. Then you can also add 1.5 tablespoons of of manol. And then you can also have pa. Pa can also be added after you have grilled or cooked the meat. But this time, we're adding pa for extra flavor. And then, don't forget the chongkiram. Okay, so chongkiram will add flavor because of the sesame. Others would use sesame seeds, but I'm going to use sesame seeds later. It's part of the garnish and together with the pa. Okay, so you have to mix it. Now, if you like your bulgogi to be a little sweeter, aside from the sweetness that you can get from the apple, you can, as I've said, you can substitute it with an Asian pear, or you can use any meat just to get the enzymes to make it tender. Others would also add honey, but I don't want to add honey. I just wanted to use brown sugar. Okay, so just stir your ingredients together. And once it's all blended, what we will do is to add it to your slice, not thinly, but sliced beef. So I'm gonna add it there. Okay, it's better if you use changgap because you can either use a tong or any kitchen spoon. But in my case, I want to, I want to rub it or massage it with the beef so that the flavor will get in. Now, if you have more time, you can actually do it the night before or the day before and let it marinate for overnight. But if you are in a hurry, you can marinate it for at least 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes, it's ready for cooking. So here we go. This is our beef bulgogi marinated. We're gonna let it be like this for 30 minutes, and then later we're going to fry. Grill the bulgogi, as I've said, you can either barbecue it or on top of fire, or you can use a griller on top of the burner. But this time I'm using a pan grill. So I'm gonna add a little oil. I'm using olive oil. And since I forgot to add sesame oil a while ago, I'm going to combine it with a little sesame oil to flavor. Okay. So make sure that your pan is hot enough to cook the meat. So let's wait for a little more. You can try putting your hand on top of your pan to feel if it's hot enough to place your meat. So I guess it's ready. And here is our meat. So because this is tender, it doesn't need a long time to cook. I'm just gonna wait this until it turns brown. Again, as I said, you can use different varieties of meat. You can use pork. You can use chicken. You can also use vegetables if you want. If you're a vegetarian, you can make use of mushroom, but you don't need to marinate the mushroom because you just have to make the bulgogi marinade and coat the mushroom before you cook it. But for me, it needs to be marinated at least 30 minutes. But it's best if you can give it more time, like it overnight. You can see that the color is turning a little bit from reddish to brown, and we're going to fully cook the beef. For me, I prefer to pan fry or pan grill because pan grilling would not drip the juice or the marinade, but instead it will penetrate into the meat. So some people would prefer to have it half cooked because it's beef. You can just eat it that way, like medium. But just to make sure that everybody can enjoy this one, I'm gonna cook it quality. I'll let it drain from its marinade by cooking it longer. Now, if you have sauce, some people would like to eat this on top of their rice, but later we're going to show you how Koreans eat their bulgogi. So they just don't eat it with rice, but instead they make use of assorted vegetables and wrap it. Okay, so here's our finished product, our beef bulgogi. Now, what we do before we serve is we add some sesame seeds. I have this roasted for 1-2 minutes. We're gonna top it like this. And then we can also add some pa in addition to what we have used a while ago to give it color before we serve. Okay, so let's try our beef bulgogi. So I'm gonna use this leaf. This is a favorite of Koreans, and you can also add another leaf, which is lettuce or yangchu. So you can have these two together. Then we'll add a piece of meat together with a little samjang to give it a kick. And you can add rice. You can also add a little kimchi if you want. For Koreans, it's not complete without the kimchi. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap this. And it's ready. 잘 먹겠습니다. 많이 드세요.
Okay, thank you very much to all the speakers. So before we proceed to the open forum, do you have anything else you'd like to share, Prof. Arneline Torres, Dr. Cha, and Miss Jennifer?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate ASEAN Center for its 65th anniversary. Mabuhay po kayo ng mas maraming taon pa. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so now I'm sure everyone's hungry and want to learn more about meat. Personally, I'm so hungry right now. Okay, so we have a couple of questions here. So to all the attendees, please post your questions in the Q&A tab, and you may share your comments as well. Okay, so here we have a question for Dr. Cha and Chef Bogo. So as an academician, how do you feel about Korean food not just being enjoyed but also studied in other parts of the world, such as, for example, Korea's fermentation techniques and methods? Great way to teach science too, I think, according to Miss Katrina K. Principe. I think you have answered this, but maybe we can share it to the other attendees.
Me?
Yes, Dr. Cha.
I was figuring out other answers to the other questions, but the fermentation technique, as I commented already, Korean traditional technique for the fermentation and is a good topic for the food itself and also the science. And so many Korean students are tackling to figure out what is the principle of make good taste or make food for preserve for a long time, especially during the long winter or hot days. Maybe the fermentation technique has been developed for that the course, for that climate region. And is it enough?
Yeah, I think that's enough. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Cha. I think that is a good topic for research, actually, fermentation techniques. And what makes your food last longer or what makes your food taste better.
Yeah, can I say something about that?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah, fermentation has been studied because, of course, in food science, there should be a combination of how to cook and at the same time, how to make use of good ingredients. As we all know, the Koreans are known for their well-being food. And when we say well-being food, it's a food that, as Professor Pantinople has mentioned a while ago, it's actually food as medicine, right? And so if we eat balanced meal, like for example, the different versions of kimchi, the different versions of bulgogi that you've seen would usually incorporate vegetables, not just for color, but for a complete nutrient. In the Philippines, what we usually do is, of course, a bowl or a dish, which is complete meal. So fermentation, of course, should be studied. And there are a lot of journal articles that has been published about Korean food. Specifically, it's published in the Journal of Ethnic Foods, wherein they talk about not only the fermentation of kimchi, but also about their gochujang and their doenjang and the good thing, the benefits that you get from this fermented foods. And I guess what I would say in comparison to how the Koreans love their food and how they really take care of the food is something that we Filipinos should learn from them. They really love their food, and loving their food means handling it with care, with passion, and trying to eat balance and preserving it to the next generation. So that's what I actually am looking forward to as an educator also, that the Philippines would appreciate our traditional food, just like the Koreans are doing to their own food. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that we should really, be proud of the food that we have. Although we
Yes.
also improve it. Most of our food here are meats.
Yeah, that's why I said Koreans taught us how to eat balance by introducing, when you eat some gyupsal, you don't eat just some gyupsal, the meat, right? But you try to use some vegetables like lettuce or maybe the sesame leaf. So that's what I learned from them also, to eat healthy. We still eat the meat, but a balanced meal with
Right.
vegetables and with green leafy vegetables as well.
Yeah, so I think that would be a big difference between Korean bulgogi and Filipino bulgogi. Filipinos tend to cook their bulgogi without the vegetables and just the meat. And while Korean bulgogi, as what Dr. Cha has shown in his video earlier, he mixed it with vegetables, a lot of vegetables actually. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's
interesting.
very true. That's very true. So we should learn from now that if we want to be more healthy, just like the Koreans are eating, I think we should adopt that.
Right. Okay, so we have a couple of questions here. So, do bulgogi and kimchi-jjigae have any historical or cultural significance? Much like jjajangmyeon. And what other Korean dishes do you recommend tasting to have a better understanding of the Korean palate? So, this is for all the speakers. Dr. Cha, do you have any comments? Do bulgogi and kimchi-jjigae have any historical significance or cultural significance?
I have no idea because it is my life itself. I have any idea. I don't have any idea of history. I just ate kimchi from my very young age. I'm still loving it. But
Okay.
any recommend Korean dishes? So I recommend japchae. So japchae. I lived in Vancouver in 2011 and also South Africa in 2018. So when we invite the foreigners to my home, and we prepare japchae as a Korean traditional dishes, and also we taught them how to cook japchae because if we get some noodle, then they can cook with their local ingredients. So I highly recommend japchae for other food, and also japchae is traditionally when we have some festival or parties. When I remember when I was young, then there is some wedding ceremony in my hometown. Then my parents prepare some japchae. So japchae is a very symbolic. I think it's a symbolic food for the traditional food, one of the traditional one.
Okay, I think japchae is noodles, right?
Yeah, noodle.
Noodles. I think Filipinos also eat japchae here in Bonchon. Okay, so we have another. How about you, Prof. Torres? Do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I actually agree with Dr. Cha that japchae is something that Filipinos would like because it's similar to our pancit. The only difference is, of course, I think the way they do it. But they love the Filipinos here love japchae, and it's available anywhere. So I think this is a good opportunity for me to invite the people watching that don't just go to Seoul, go to the other places of Korea, because Seoul is. I think for people who would just like to have a taste of Korea, if you would like to try traditional food, the real food of Koreans, go to other places. I highly recommend Jeonju. Jeonju is known for their bibimbap. I also recommend going to small cities, because small cities would have the authentic traditional food offering. There's a lot. I think Filipinos only know samgyeopsal, right? And kimchi, but there's more to kimchi and samgyeopsal. They have also doenjang-jjigae, cheonggukchang. They have samyetang, which is similar to our arroz caldo. They also have kamjatang, which is actually a soup, which I think the Filipinos would love. And the talk that they have is like our native rice cake. So it reminds me of our kakanin, okay, because it's very similar. So yeah, that's actually, I know that I think Filipinos would really love the other Korean dishes. They will definitely be loving and looking back to eat it again, just like what happened to me.
Okay, so how about you, Miss Jennifer? What other Korean dishes do you recommend for our attendees right now?
Yeah, there are a lot of food here in Korea, but I think I recommend samgyetang. Yeah, because it is
Samgyetang.
healthy food. Yeah,
What's samgyetang?
samgyetang is it's a whole chicken with ginseng, and it's really healthy. Yeah.
Is that fried or a stew, a soup?
It has soup with
Ah,
rice. Yeah.
Is it like tinola?
uh it's different because the rice is inside the belly. Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
chicken. Okay.
Yes.
So for our attendees, try samgyetang.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
It's
much.
really unique and delicious, and also it's really healthy.
Okay.
Healthy food.
So here we have another question. What makes Korean cuisine unique from the other East Asian countries, from China, from Japanese cuisine, from Chinese cuisine? What do you think makes Korean cuisine unique to all our speakers?
I just posted a comment, very short comment, mentioning about climate.
Okay.
So we have 4 seasons. Now we are entering the cold winter, and so maybe Philippines and Korea has a different climate, and we have, so it affects some vegetables and sometimes animals can be raised. So the ingredient is different, and also we need a fermentation technique for the preserving, the maintaining the ingredient during the summer and during the winter. So that makes so kimchi. We need we can now we have a greenhouse technique to raise vegetables during the winter, but tradition in all the ages, and we don't have that kind of facilities. So we have to survive over the winter. So we had a cabbage and make kimchi, and we survive with kimchi over the winter. Maybe that makes some difference, I think.
Right. That's interesting since uh, what vegetables or what ingredients grow during the 4 seasons actually depend on the climate of Korea, right? How about you, Prof. Torres? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Dr. Cha. It's actually the weather, not only the weather, but the kind of soil where you plant the ingredients. And I think not only that, but the passion of Koreans in preparing their food. There's always the passion. There's always the pride whenever they offer you that.
But that's why I think it's very unique, because of course wherever they go, I know, because I always ask my students when they go somewhere, they always have with them their food. Like they always have the noodle, they always would bring a little kimchi and would bring kim. So I would say that the uniqueness comes from the weather, the soil, and the passion of Korean people. The passion of Korean people in doing in planting and in preparing their food, as well as their pride of introducing their Korean cuisine to the world.
Okay. How about you, Miss Jennifer? Do you have any comments?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any comments? What do you think makes Korean cuisine unique?
I agree with them. You know, because of the weather. Yeah, the four seasons.
Right. So here in the Philippines, we only have 2 seasons, no? The sunny and the rainy.
Yeah, but here.
But there you have 4 seasons. Okay.
Yeah, we have 4 seasons here.
Okay.
Just
So
like today, it's winter, so it's real cold.
I see that you're all wearing sweaters. How about you, Dr. Cynthia? Do you have comments about this?
With regards to the uniqueness of the Korean
Yes.
food, for me kasi, kahit saang lugar, pag sinabi nating food, it's not only about yung gaano ba siya kasarap, pero kung paano siya inihanda para sa'yo. Like in our case, nung naging graduate student ako, sabi ko nga kanina, mas naramdaman ko yung sarap ng pagkain dahil sa taong nagbibigay at nagpe-prepare. So, una kong nagustuhan ng Korean food kasi andun yung pagmamahal. So, like yung mga professor namin, like Professor Cha, Professor Im, Professor Park. So, mas na-appreciate mo yung food na yon. It's because yung sincerity. And I believe that Koreans are really sincere in preserving not only the food but also the Korean race. That's why they are really very meticulous in preparing Korean dishes. And I have experienced that. Hindi lang, not only in the food making, but also in the Korean relationships. So I was very lucky that I've been with Professor Cha and Professor Im. So I would not be able to reach this stage that I will be called a doctor if not without them in my life. So that's, I think, the uniqueness of the Korean food. And with regards to the differences between, like for example, Chinese food and Japanese food and Korean food, again, I will answer the same thing. It all depends on the preparation, but I think all of them have panchan or side dishes. But I think Chinese food is less because I have not been to China and Japan yet. But of course, I have experience eating in Chinese restaurants and Japanese restaurants. But actually, during my first time in Korea, hindi ko maubos yung dami ng pagkain. And the more that they are serving food, sabi nila simple lang yon. Pero now, after it's nearly 8 years sa Korea ngayon. So ngayon kaya ko na lahat ubusin nyo. Kasi and sometimes hindi pa siya parang kulang pa kasi you are used to it. And it's healthy. Lang po.
So there's no guilt while eating.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So here's a kind of a related question that I think Dr. Cha answered, but I think it's nice to share this with other attendees. So I noticed in TV that there are a lot of side dishes served in one meal. Is this common? If yes, is there a reason for this? Yes, I agree with this question because in some usual places, you buy 1 serving of meat and then you have like 10 servings of side dishes, but only 1 serving of meat. So is that a common practice in Korea? So anyone?
I think noon pa kasi yun, 'di ba? Nung may mga hari at reyna pa sila. So talagang yun yung ano nila side dishes. Kailangan 'di ba pagka mga hari 12 dishes, yung side dishes nila is 12. So something like that.
So
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah,
influence
I
of
agree.
history.
It's
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So,
So, kinasanayan, parang kinasanayan na siya na ganon until now. So, kaya
okay.
every meal, you have to prepare for that.
For
Even a simple, just like for every day, you have
Mhm.
to prepare that for
So,
them. Even at least three side dishes.
okay. So what?
Mhm.
That's interesting. At least 3. Here we have kanin at
Oh,
Yes,
there is
yes,
no
yes.
rule.
That's the difference.
No rule for that.
there's no rule. Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, actually it's very much the same for us. Yun nga lang, sabi ko nga, when you are in Manila, you eat differently because of probably because of the time. So you don't have the time to cook, and so you're limited to whatever fast food is near your place, right? But even yung traditional Philippine cuisine, we also have that kind of sausawan, and that's something that you pair with the food. Like for example, if you eat pochero, there's always a berenjena sauce. The berenjena sauce is actually it's an eggplant that you usually grill and then flavor with a little vinegar. That goes well with the pochero. So we have that also. Or like when you eat your tinapa, your fried tinapa, what goes with it? You have your egg, salted egg, right? You have your kamatis or your tomatoes, and sometimes you put additional ingredients, like for example onions, and like in Batangas we would always use burong mostasa. Okay, so we have that, but it's going gone. That's why I'm so sad that we cannot preserve that culture, where in fact the Koreans, from the very beginning, like what Miss Jen has mentioned, during the times of the kings and the queens, they would usually have side dishes, and until now. So, like Dr. Cha said, more than 3, like because you have bekpan, as they call it, like more side dishes. And commonly, when you eat, like for example, in a traditional restaurant, like if you order a soup, there's always banchan or side dishes that goes with it. So, sabi ko nga sa'yo, it's not just the food, but the well-being is always what people are thinking of. A food that will make you well, food that will make you healthy, and not just to eat. So yung conscious eating, that's what I like about the Korean people.
Okay.
Okay.
So I agree. That's true. That we also have side dishes like achara,
Yeah, that's true.
bagoong.
Atsara, bagoong.
But it's not really like it cannot stand alone as a meal. It should be served with other food. So unlike I mean you wouldn't eat achara on its own. Unlike kimchi, I think you can eat kimchi on its own,
Yeah,
right?
if it's really good, you can eat it alone, right? But achara you can eat it alone too. But the thing is, when we put spices to our food, mataas yung timpla kasi we always think of that food will be paired with rice. So the rice neutralizes the saltiness or whatever flavor you put in that.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think one thing that we can adopt in the Philippines also.
How about you, Dr. Cha? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, in drama, maybe traditional drama is the king's table. There are a lot of banchan, a lot of side dishes. But generally, in the morning, I just put three or 4 dishes, not cooked. So I just eat kimchi and some side dishes cooked a few days ago. I just get them from the fridge. So, or my son and just eat rice and some one dishes that he likes. It depends on the taste. But in tourist area, especially for the traditional area like Jeonju, Gwangju, Gyeongju, something like that, then in the restaurant there are many side dishes. but I think that's too much. It's a food waste.
I agree.
I feel guilty, so I try to eat them all.
Right. Okay. So we have one final question. Maybe each of you can share a few answers to this. What do you think makes Filipinos love Korean food? A lot of there have been a lot of Korean places already here in the Philippines. We have samgyeopsal places. We have bonchon. What do you think makes Filipinos love Korean food so much?
As I commented to the question, maybe we have same soul. Even though we are living in different weather, but I feel the same kind of soul with Filipinos, similar look, and yeah, something like that. So I also love Filipino food. Yeah. During my last visit to Bacolod and also Manila, I enjoyed the food there. So maybe we have same taste.
Right. Okay. How about you, Prof. Torres? What do you think makes Filipinos love Korean food?
I think because it's new for us. Filipinos love everything new, right? That's why we forgot our traditional food. Not only the newness of the food, but also I think the meat. Like everywhere is a samgyeopsal place, right? And so because Filipinos are meat eater, so it fits their taste to eat a lot of meat, especially if the samgyeopsal is a buffet or limited, right? So, and also I think the taste as well. The taste blends with the Filipino palate. Like, for example, their chapche is similar to our pancit. Their samyetang, which is actually a well-being soup, chicken soup, is similar to our arroz caldo. The only different way is, of course, without the ginseng and the way it was presented. But basically, common ingredients, it's a soup, there's chicken, and there's rice. So it's a new rendition of food because I would say that food in Asia is almost the same. The only thing that makes it different is the preparation and of course where it comes from. The preparation would mean it's different. Like if you have seen the different versions of bulgogi a while ago, they don't saute, they don't gisa as we say it in Tagalog, right? Wala silang gisa. It's all a little oil and pan grilling it, or sometimes would grill it. That makes it also different. But the taste, the play of taste, like the saltiness, the sweetness, a little, I would say, kick, like the sourness or whatever, something that they add in there is something that suits the Filipino palate. So I think there's a very good, I would say, opportunity of the Korean cuisine to be introduced and to be embraced wholeheartedly by the Filipinos. And not just the samgyeopsal, there's more that they can offer to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Miss Jennifer? What do you think makes...
I agree with them. I think because of the taste. And also, siguro yung Korean drama na din.
Right. So they watch it, so they want to eat it. Actually, that's true.
Yeah, they want to try it because of the Korean drama.
Right. How about you, Dr. Cynthia? Do you have what do you think?
The question is, bakit?
Why do you think Filipinos love Korean food?
Actually, I have answered that question a while ago. Yes, but I think, yeah, because I think the influence of social media and also parang, okay, dito tayo, ito yung ngayon sikat eh. Pero in my case nga, sabi ko sa'yo, kahit anong pagkain. But then, because I've been living here in Korea for nearly 8 years, so yung paraan, yung way ng pakikisama ng mga Korean sa akin, yun yung nakakapagpasarap doon. Yung sincerity.
Right.
Ayan.
Okay, so thank you very much to all the speakers, Miss Jennifer, Prof. Arneline, Dr. Jongho, and Dr. Cynthia. Thank you very much for joining us. And I agree with all of you. And I think one of the common characteristics of food in all of Asia is that it brings the community together, right? So in any place here in Asia with hospitality, it is food that brings us all together, and it strengthens our bond as a community and as a continent. Right. Okay. So thank you very much. So to close our webinar, may I call on our assistant to the Dean for Research and Publications, Dr. Michelle Palumbarit, for the closing remarks.
Yes, thank you, Danae. I'm sure we all have learned not only how to cook Korean bulgogi and kimchi-jjigae, but also we all have learned interesting and yummy Korean foods. So my deepest gratitude really to Dr. Cha, Professor Torres, Jennifer, thank you very much, Cynthia. And I also would like to mention Miss Ardell and her son for really helping out really here. So, and to all our participants, thank you for attending. I won't be surprised if you're going to eat Korean food after this, okay? And I would like to remind everyone, we will have another Korea event this afternoon. It's recent developments in inter-Korea relations. I hope you attend too. And thank you once again. Kamsahamnida. Maraming salamat po and ingat po tayong lahat.
Before forgetting, may I ask for the obligatory photo. Thank you, Danae.
Okay,
Sure.
so let me. Okay.
Okay, I'll count. Please. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so
thank you.
Again, thank you very much to our speakers. We hope to see you, hopefully personally, in this kind of platform. And thank you very much to all who attended our webinar for today. Hopefully, you will join us with our other activities this afternoon. As Dr. Palumbarit said, we have another webinar on Korea titled Recent Developments on Inter-Korea Relations with Prof. Kenshin of Seoul National University. And I think we will have other events on December 9, I think. We have another webinar. So please stand by for announcements, and for more updates on our events, activities, and available materials on Asian and Philippine studies, please visit our website, www.ac.upd.edu.ph. So if you would also like to receive regular updates regarding our activities, please join our mailing list. So also like and subscribe our Facebook and YouTube pages. Yes, my plug. Okay, so just a reminder to all participants, our recordings of our webinar and the materials, the videos that our speakers shared will also be shared to you via our website. So just stand by. So again, thank you very much. And just in time for lunch, tara, kain na tayo. Bam Moguru Gacha. Thank you very much. Kamsahamnida.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
happy anniversary po ulit.
Thank you. Professor Torres, Dr. Cha, Jennifer, thank you. And Sins, thank you very much. Hope to see you in Seoul or in the Philippines. Let's eat.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you po. Bye-bye.